Today we expect an on-time liftoff of the Shuttle Endeavour and the 6-member crew from the Kennedy Space Center. As was the case yesterday, the exact launch time may vary by a minute or two, depending on final calculations by the Flight Director's Office in Houston that will determine the exact location of the Eureka spacecraft. Endeavour will rendezvous with Eureka on day 4 of the mission. At this time, however, our target launch time is at 9:07 a.m. Any adjustments to the launch time will be made at the standard built-in hold at T-9 minutes. The crew is essentially on the same schedule that they were yesterday, just about a half hour earlier in their timeline due to the change in the window. G. David Lowe is our payload commander. This will be his 3rd flight. Nancy Sherlock is on her 1st flight. Commander Ron Graby and pilot Brian Duffy. Jeff Weissoff will be performing a spacewalk. This is his 1st time. And we round the crew out with Janice Voss. This is also her 1st flight today. We're standing by to send the ICE team and the closeout crew out to the pad as soon as our liquid oxygen operations are in a stable replenish mode. Managers and engineers have gathered in the firing room again this morning. Everyone is preparing to monitor their systems again. We're looking for a good launch attempt this morning. Again, the team is working no issues at this time that would interfere with an on-time launch. We are a little bit behind in our tanking schedule, but that is, we're about to catch up with that in just a few minutes. Because we were behind in tanking, it also prohibited us from sending the closeout crew to the pad any earlier. They need about an hour to prepare the vehicle for the crew's entry. At this time, though, the crew is scheduled to depart for the pad on time at 5:37 this morning, and their expected arrival time at the pad is about a half an hour after that, and just a few minutes after 6. The ICE team and the closeout crew have reported to the pad for their operations today. The ICE team is up on the upper levels of the service structure making their final checks, checking for any potential debris that may have been inadvertently left at the pad. Also checking for any ice particles or sometimes icicles that form as a result of the super cold fuels that are loaded into the external tank. They will be spending about an hour at the pad this morning as they do an abbreviated check of operations. Indications from the managers here in the firing room as well as from the ICE team that they will not need any longer than that to perform their thorough observations. All 6 crew members are in their suit-up room at the operations and checkout building, which is just, the suit-up room is just adjacent to their crew quarters on the 3rd floor of the ONC. Commander Ron Graby is configuring his microphones to ensure that everything fits properly and everything works properly. Tests will be made here prior to their entry into the vehicle. Pilot Brian Duffy, who turned 40 yesterday on Father's Day, I'm sure he's ready to go and get back so that they can celebrate a belated birthday as he returns with his family. Jeff Weissoff, he's a first-time flyer today. He's ready to go, giving his thumbs up. Hugh Gibson, the blue suitor, is our chief astronaut. He will be flying in the weather reconnaissance plane today, making sure that our astronauts are safe to fly. Janice Voss, she is a first-time flyer. Her designation is Mission Specialist 4. And Mommy is apparently Nancy Sherlock. She has a 6-year-old daughter who I'm sure will be watching anxiously this morning as her mother flies in space for the first time. And to round out the crew, we have our payload commander, G. David Lowe. David is from Cleveland, Ohio, and he has flown twice before on missions STS-32 and STS-43. The crew certainly appears relaxed and ready to fly today. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 3 hours in holding. The 6 members of our prime astronaut crew are just now leaving their crew quarters on the 3rd floor of the Operations and Checkout building. Leading the way is Commander Ron Graby, followed by Mission Specialists Nancy Sherlock and Janice Voss. Mission STS-57 is planned to be a 7 or an 8-day mission. It may be extended one day, immediate or after launch, if projections calculated at that time for energy and fuel use during the Eureka rendezvous permit the extra day. If it does remain an extra day in flight, then the extravehicular activity is scheduled for flight day 5. If we do have to shorten the mission to just 7 days, then it's the spacewalk that would be canceled. And we have our first crew members, our 6 crew members, arriving on the 195-foot level, shaking hands with a member of the closeout crew. And they are led across the orbiter access arm, about 195 feet above the pad surface. Commander Graby is the first to enter the White Room, as he will be the first also to enter the Shuttle Endeavour. This will be Commander Graby's 4th flight on the shuttle. Janice Voss has just arrived in view of our cameras in the White Room. She has the designation of Mission Specialist number 4. Janice Voss earned her doctorate in aeronautics and astronautics from MIT back in 1987, and she was selected by NASA in January of 1990 and became an astronaut in July of 1991. Mission Specialist Voss' primary role on this mission will be to tend to many of the experiments in the Space Hab laboratory during the 8 days the crew expects to be on orbit. In view of our TV camera in the White Room is our pilot, Brian Duffy. Brian celebrated his 40th birthday yesterday on the scrubbed launch attempt. He is married with 2 children. Brian was born in Boston and graduated from the Air Force Academy. This will be his 2nd space flight David Lowe is the payload commander, again, on this flight, and he serves as Mission Specialist number 1. He is from Cleveland, Ohio, and graduated from Washington and Lee University, as well as from Cornell University. Lowe was selected by NASA in May 1984 and became an astronaut in June 1985. He flew on his first mission in 1990. Jeff Weissoff is designated as Mission Specialist number 3, and he will be making his first trip into space today. Weissoff has a doctorate in applied physics, and he became an astronaut in 1991. One of his primary roles on his first flight will be to perform a 4-hour spacewalk scheduled for flight day 5. This will occur with David Lowe at his side. The spacewalk is scheduled to last about 4 hours, during which time the astronauts will be conducting several maneuvers that will assist the mission managers in planning for both the Hubble Space Telescope repair mission, as well as understanding activities regarding the assembly of the space station. Operations to load the 6-member astronaut crew on board the shuttle continue this morning. We have 5 members of our crew already on board, and the last member, Nancy Sherlock, is being prepped for entry at this time. Nancy has the designation of Mission Specialist number 2. She was selected by NASA as an astronaut in July of 1991. This will be her first flight on the shuttle, and during this mission, she will control the remote arm as fellow astronauts Lowe and Weissoff perform 4 hours of extravehicular activity.
Okay. OVCC, go ahead. Hatch is closed. Okay. ECL, OTC?
It's ECL.
Do you have any further need for OVCC?
Negative.
Okay. OVCC, OTC? This OVCC, go ahead. Continue closing out the white room, and let me know when you're ready to leave. All right, copy.
HGP, 797 through 800 complete.
Copy that. GMCC. And
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 30 minutes and counting. At this time, the post-launch inspections and safety teams are being assembled at the A11 roadblock, which is located southeast of the vehicle assembly building, about 4 miles from Shuttle Endeavour at pad 39B. Also, the White Room closeout crew has reported that the hatch is indeed closed, and they are making preparations to vacate the White Room and to lock the fixed structure elevator into place once they get to the ground. This is shuttle launch control with just about 30 seconds remaining in our hold at T-minus 20 minutes. As we come out of this hold, Endeavour's onboard computers will transition to the terminal phase of the countdown configuration. The countdown clock is just a few seconds away from entering the last of our planned built-in holds. Coming up on the T-minus 9-minute hold, we are at 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. This is a scheduled 10-minute hold. Managers have determined that the hold will last for 10 minutes, placing our launch time at 9:07 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. As the count resumes, the ground launch sequencer will be in control of operations. This master computer program will issue all of the requirements and commands necessary to perform the final critical tasks required to put the vehicle in the final launch configuration.
KMCD, this is Launch Director. Why don't we plan on coming out of the built-in hold to meet the nominal opening of the window, and we'll hold at -5 if we don't have a range clearance by then.
SRO, would you copy that? SRO, copy.
OTC, CHPD.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir, I can give you step 1037.
I copy. Hi, Phil.
The shuttle test director, Al Sopji, has been directed by our launch director, Bob Seek, to continue with the count this morning. In about just over 2 minutes, we will pick up the count at T-minus 9 minutes and progress toward the T-minus 5-minute mark, where at that time we may hold, as a result of a intruder aircraft which has entered our restricted zone. The range safety officer has not been able to give a exact time frame as to when they'll make contact with the aircraft and or when the aircraft will be flying out of the zone. So at this point, we do plan on picking up the count at T-minus 9 minutes in about 1 minute and 40 seconds.
TLS is go for orbiter access arm retract.
And we have a go for the orbiter access arm retract. This access arm is used by the crew to gain entry into and out of the vehicle, and it can be returned to position within seconds if need be.
CTLS on 212.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Should we key in a hold for 5 minutes?
Let's stand by. SRO entity. SRO, go ahead. Yeah, you have a status for us. We're coming in 7 minutes. Sir, I'm trying to work on an update at this time. I'll report back in 1 minute.
T-minus 6 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting.
Sheriff, yes. Start the APU and hydraulic strip start recorders. Got it. Recorders running. Copy. MTLT OTC, perform the APU pre-start. Roger, OTC, the APU pre-start's in work. Still there? MTD SRO on 212. Still SRO. Yes, sir. Intruder is still in the LDA, and FAA aircraft are trying to make contact at this time. I copy. DLS, let's go ahead and set up the hold at 5.
I copy.
The launch team will be holding at T-minus 5 minutes for an intruder aircraft in the LDA.
T-minus 5 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. And we will be holding at T-minus 5 minutes for an undetermined amount of time as we continue to assess the intruding aircraft.
NTD SRO on 212. Go ahead, SRO.
And we're at T-minus 5 minutes and holding.
Copy.
T-minus 4 minutes and counting.
Go for sequence 4.
A final test of the flight control surfaces is now being conducted. This is a program pattern of movements designed to verify the readiness for launch of the engines and other flight control surfaces. T-minus 3 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. We are transferring to orbiter internal power at this time. Endeavour is now running off of its 3 onboard fuel cells. T-minus 3 minutes and counting. All is continuing to go well for today's launch of the Space Shuttle Endeavour in the first Space Hab laboratory.
LO2 pressurization.
Final pressurization of the liquid oxygen tank located inside the external tank is underway.
TLT OTC, clear caution warning memory, verify no unexpected errors.
The orbiter test conductor has requested that pilot Duffy clear the caution and warning memory system. And we are in the process of retracting the gaseous oxygen vent hood.
OTC PLT, the caution and warning is clear, no unexpected errors. Copy. Flight crew, close and lock your visors, initiate O2 flow.
T-minus 2 minutes and counting, and the flight crew has been instructed to close their sun visors. Liquid hydrogen replenish is now being terminated. T-minus 1 minute, 45 seconds. Everything continues to look good for launch this morning. And in about 90 seconds, we will see the release of nearly 7 million pounds of thrust as the Shuttle Endeavour begins its 8-day flight.
1 minute, 30 seconds.
T-minus 1 minute, 15 seconds. The liquid hydrogen tank inside the external tank is at proper flight pressure. T-minus 1 minute and counting. Everything is still looking good for launch of the Shuttle Endeavour in Florida this morning. T-minus 45 seconds. Coming up on a go for auto sequence start.
TLS is go for auto sequence start.
And we have a go for auto sequence start. Endeavour's 4 onboard computers have primary control of all the vehicle's critical functions. T-minus 20. 15. 12. 10. 9. 8. 7. We have a go for main engine start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of the Space Shuttle Endeavour on the first Spacehab mission and the retrieval of the Eureka spacecraft.
Houston is now controlling. Endeavour is rolling onto the proper heading.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
Roll maneuvers complete, placing Endeavour and crew on a due east course. 3 good engines. Throttle setting to 100%. Main engines are throttling back now, helping to ease loads on the vehicle as it powers through the dense lower altitudes and continues to accelerate rapidly. Engine throttles are now at 72%. Endeavour's already traveling over 1,000 miles per hour. And all 3 main engines are throttling back up.
Endeavour, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
All engines are now running at full throttle and all systems performing well. Altitude 57,000 feet, downrange 7 nautical miles. Over the next 60 seconds, as Endeavour continues to climb at a relatively steep angle, the vehicle's rate of speed will virtually triple. The solid rocket boosters, each providing up to 3.3 million pounds of thrust, will burn out and separate at 2 minutes 4 seconds. Time now, 1 minute 45 seconds. SRB chamber pressure is beginning to diminish at this point. And we have a clean separation. Endeavour's now flying free of the solids under the power of its own main engines. Second stage guidance is now controlling the vehicle. Altitude 173,000 feet, downrange distance 38 nautical miles. Endeavour's now traveling over 2,800 miles per hour.
Endeavour, performance nominal.
Roger, performance nominal.
Endeavour, 2-engine Ben Guerir.
2-engine Ben Guerir.
Early performance of the main engines and boosters was good. Endeavour can now cross the Atlantic Ocean with only 2 engines should one fail. Altitude 222,000 feet, downrange distance 57 nautical miles. Endeavour's now traveling over 3,200 miles per hour. The vehicle continues to accelerate very rapidly at this point, shedding weight as propellant burns off. The orbiter's trajectory is also beginning to level out a bit here as Endeavour and crew head out over the Atlantic Ocean. Downrange distance now 75 nautical miles. Time 3 minutes 25 seconds. All systems are performing well. Altitude now 275,000 feet. Downrange 90 miles.
This is Mission Control. This is a playback of videotape recorded by the crew. This is the external tank after it had separated from Endeavour. This is Mission Control. This is a playback of videotape recorded by Endeavour's crew earlier today. This view appears to be out the aft windows looking across the top of the Space Hab module with the payload bay doors closed, or just beginning to open.
And Houston Endeavour verify you receiving downlink again of Space Hab ingress.
Okay, we're receiving it now. Thanks.
This is Mission Control. This video replay shows payload commander for this STS-57 mission, David Lowe, opening the hatch into the Space Lab module. He is in the tunnel right now, the tunnel adapter between the airlock hatch and the Space Lab module. This is Mission Control. This is Payload Commander David Lowe inside the Space Hab module, breaking out equipment and starting the setup of experiments earlier today.
Television from Endeavour at about 7:43 a.m. Central